voters would vote for Mr. Kwabena Osu Eduomi, an independent candidate who was with the NPP. 1.7% remaining undecided. 0.2% said they would vote for Miss Esther Osei, the CPP's candidate, with the rest of the candidates having 0%. That's according to the Global Info Analytics. President Akufo-Addo has been speaking, and he's been repeating the same things that he said at Fomina some time ago, that, well, it is only an MPP MP that can lobby him for projects. He said the same thing at Ekumfi, right? He told the chiefs of the Ekumfi, the candidates buying and ye candidates into me, so ye many mamo kakran into the Evesha Kakrani Ashe to Brofo.
They say you are doing me. Say never done it here, my MPP. All right. So person done it here. All cousin done it in my MPP. Now never feel no more about no name in 2008. Obano. Not just so high. You know MP. I'm just so a cabinet minister. Yeah, deputy minister. Cabinet Minister, Minister of Foreign Affairs. Mijemu 2007. Semekwa pray the Franca Tuni Abano. And a young Wakufo, a Pejano, a Beshema Nemu. Cabinet Minister. Ono no baya, ono no besi kind. Eno tuno. Ebeye candidate. And our faces obeye MP. And they said, I know they're Papa, yes, sir. I know they're not Nanicho. So I bow to cabinet minister, our MP, and then they're Bonnie Bienim. Now, what do so be about the two? Woody, a friend say, deputy minister, and I owe ya. Emma and I own now, Kaka some. Sadia, no. Sadia, no. Look at Americano. That's all I say. Year, MPP for Baby Rabanum. About a tomato, Mamma Betty, MPP, no. You are Banana. Son of the Sotre. They say, we are Banana, way a bed, Yababi Banana. On Judge, I some. So I done it, you know, yeah, Minim the oil, San Francisco. Say, Chinio. And I need me in an album. Oh, yeah. 90. No more fire, some mother can someone. I am fat. But it's also no. And an Amson or they acquire Ejisu. If you bring you for a bear moon, a day acquire wire or the other churches to force or no, and a acquire. Yeah, you want to be regional chairman. Yes, I may come for me. When I said that here, I could be a Wagana, me, and I'm a man who to me. And yes, I'm so fine.
3FM 92.7.
I'm okay, Sambako. If we are there. It was 7th January 2025. MPP Abai and the Wasso. MPP Abai and the Wasso. A Kufuado. A Denny. The more Pobi and the president. MPP president. Akasa. Na to asumpenwa. Near MPP ni. And Robeba no Babet Kasa. I'd say. Yeah, independent beer. You who teach you. Since some I said that she. So pay you for be said that she and yeah, one no. So Bano may say, you say, Embasso, Embasso,
President Akufo-Addo there in Ejisu, and he certainly is sounded like he sounded many years ago in Fomena or at Fomena, and well, we're back to the grind. He told the chiefs of a Kumfi as well that William Evans Inkum is joining us on the phone line. He is our Northern Bureau Chief. Well, we don't have William on the phone line. Please raise William back on the phone line for us. We want to gauge the mood and the temperature in Ejisu, in the Ashanti region, where the by-elections will happen tomorrow, Tuesday, the 30th of April. And, well, the NPP's candidate is set to win the polls. But Ejomi also has, some high hopes that Abeye, I don't know what it is. What do you think?
I'm very excited for us to reconnect with Bill and to really get on the ground, because I was, taking a look at the Global Info Analytics poll, and usually they're quite spot on. So I'm very curious to see if this time around.
So they did a sample size of 1,351.
That's right.
They interviewed them between 22nd April to 25th April. So that's really close.
Yes.
And the voters selected randomly from 19 out of the 28 electoral areas of the constituency, made up of 53% males and 47% females, ranging between the ages of 18 to 64 upwards, with a confidence level of 99% and a margin of error 3.42%. The Electoral Commission's 2020 voters register was used as a sample frame. So if you're looking for the methodology and the basis, this is it. William Evans Inkum joins us on the phone line right now. He is the Northern Bureau Chief. Bill, good morning. Thank you for your time.
Good morning. Thanks for having me, Johnny.
I'm sure that you've been monitoring the president and some of the things that he said, quite similar to what he said at Fomena, quite similar to what he said to the chiefs of Ekumfi, and quite similar to what he said at Asin North. Now, how are the people responding to the president's comments, particularly assuring them that if they want development and they want anybody who he could listen to, it has to be one of their own and not an independent candidate?
Well, Johnny, so that, there was some level of divided, let me say, division. There are some who believe that the president was playing, the usual politics, but if Ejomi wins, then there's a possibility of going back and telling him that, hey, you've said before, and I remember I gathered in that particular interview, that you are still a UP person. So, well, something just happened. We had issues. You need to come back to the party. There are some who believe that even if Ejomi wins, there's still that opportunity for the party to reintegrate with Ejomi. There are others who also believe that, well, the extent at which Ejomi has reached, for instance, Ejomi is overly peeved because of what happened some years ago when John Kuma was alive, and here I'm making reference to the compilation of the constituency album.
Right.
Certain concerns that he raised, the executive, the regional executives were unable to handle it. When it was forwarded to the national executive, they were also unable to handle it. Now the matter is still in court. He doesn't even know, or his support doesn't even know which side judgment will fall. And this has, influenced his decision to go independent. Of course, even with that, he also cautioned that the campaign shouldn't be a smearing one where it will be very difficult for him to reintegrate. But exactly what we are seeing now. So it will also become very difficult for him to go back to the party, even if he wins. But the MPP, from all indication, are sure of victory, but the environment speaks differently.
Now, you've had the Ejomi campaign team, members of the campaign team, they held a press conference enumerating at least 6 pointers that they suspect would be used to put impediments or a spanner in their works. They talk about security, intimidation, they talk about ballot box stashing, they talk about power outages, they talk about bribery or treating of the voters, they talk about influence peddling and abuse of power. At least these 6 things found presence in the press conference. Is the reaction on the ground as heavy as they would want us to believe it is?
Well, to be very honest with you, I mean, places that I have visited, I haven't seen deployment of heavily built, or if you like, vigilante group causing mayhem or what have you. Look, even at Onye, there was a clash. And when it happened, the president and his entourage decided that, well, let's go back to Ejisu just to avoid some clashes. I'm talking about when, after the rally at Kwamo, the next port of call was Onye. But whilst we were on our way, we heard that Johnnie and his team were also having their campaign. In fact, they were very, very heavy on the ground. Then, within a twinkle of an eye, we saw the president convoy made a U-turn, and then headed back to Ejisu. Of course, we thought after the Ejisu rally, he will go back to Onye to also address the people there, but that never happened. And aside that particular story, we've also, visited other places where a Johnnie's campaign team were on the ground together with that of lawyer Watson, but there was no clashes. Maybe it is early days here because these are just prelims to tomorrow's, big exercise, which has to do with the voting itself. We don't know whether, we're going to see some level of escalation in some of the identified flashpoints. And here we're talking about 10 of them.
Right. Do we see a playback of Asin North, because we have seen the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the vice president, we have seen other NPP big wigs in there. Why is this a big deal, especially when the NDC has said that, look, we have taken a decision not to contest, and it is supposed to be a stronghold of the NPP. Why are they deploying all arsenals? This is supposed to be a walk in the park for them.
It is never going to be a walk in the park for them. It's a big deal to the NPP because they are dealing with somebody who resides in Ejisu, somebody who dines in Ejisu, somebody who has represented Ejisu in the National Assembly on 3 consecutive occasions. So we are talking about being a member of parliament for 12 years. And here we are talking about Kwabena Usue. As a deputy minister of roads and highways, he ensured that many towns in Ejisu also have a feel of his portfolio. And we are talking about road projects from Bonre to Adadientem. You can count a number of road projects that one can link to Johnnie lobbying in bringing those projects there. And that makes him a major threat to the ruling New Patriotic Party, because never did they ever think that a time will come that Johnnie will splinter from the NPP and contest his own party. So the dynamics here is quite different, and I'm not surprised that yesterday I saw almost every single individual who mattered as far as the NPP is concerned. So even in the night, I saw the majority leader, Appiah-Ampofo, also arriving at the rally ground to also campaign for lawyer Kwabena Boateng. Already, we have seen the likes of the chief of staff, Madame Fremont Paré, the vice president, and of course, the president of the republic. So every single person who matters, as far as the hierarchy of the NPP is concerned, currently is in Ejisu.
Now, it appears that the NPP is taking a grenade to a fist fight to give a warning shot with a grenade, sort of, if you look at what's happening there, all the big names you are mentioning. But regrettably, Chairman Wontumi, the regional chairman for Ashanti region, Ntwibo Esiako, was booed by some supporters of Johnnie. And in fact, the apathy around the area was not too good, the kind of energy that they were expecting, especially looking at the close proximity of 2024 elections, the general elections. If what happened to Wontumi is anything to go by, would you say the MPP is losing its grip on the people of Ejisu?
So Ejisu issue, to a large extent, has to do with the ABO. the compilation of the album and the fact that Ejiomi wasn't given that opportunity to contest on a ticket of the MPP. It is not necessarily about projects, because if you're talking about road projects, it's something that I earlier mentioned that Ejiomi started way back in 2020. He's been embarking on a number of projects, lobbying for road projects for many communities within the Ejisu constituency. So we are seeing that already. But it has to do with treatment to Kwabena Owusu Ejiomi. And that has kind of made him, that is making him enjoy some level of sympathy, because they believe that Kwabena Owusu Ejiomi wasn't treated fairly. For instance, the compilation of the album, which I've mentioned earlier, most of the people or electoral area coordinators, former police station executives, felt that they were wrongfully removed from the album. And these are the people who are on the ground campaigning for Kwabena Owusu Ejiomi.
Now, Global Info Analytics have said that his chances, that's Owusu Ejiomi's chances of winning the elections is only by 47.5%. And that, what do you call him, lawyer Kwabena Boateng will win the elections with a very wide margin, over 50% of the votes. Do you get that sense on the ground as well?
So when this poll came out, we engaged some of the constituents and, of course, some members of the MPP who are aligned with Kwabena Owusu Ejiomi. Of course, some of them who also appears to be voting voters. And they were looking at the sample size, because Ejisu currently has a voter population of over 100,000. And if you look at a sample size of 1,351, the MPP delegates in Ejisu alone, it's almost, the same number, or maybe some little over. The sample size, the sample that Info Analytics used. So to them, maybe it may not make any impact, because even the area that you call the battleground, the number of people who are engaged are not that many. So they are not prepared. Now, I can't remember, I spoke to one of the campaign coordinators of Owusu Ejiomi, and he was emphatic that despite the figures that Info Analytics is churning out, they are sure of winning by 70%.
Now, if he doesn't win this by-election, the chances of him going back again to prepare to come back for the general elections are quite high. And that could be bad news for the MPP in the Stronghold, because then in the main election, the NDC will also file a candidate plus all the other parties. Am I thinking right?
You are thinking right, because Owusu Ejiomi is not in this particular business alone. He's, apart from the support that he's enjoying from the NDC, he's also enjoying a massive support from the movement for change people. So, for instance, some of the vehicles that I'm seeing moving with his campaign team are known vehicles from movements for change. Some of their campaign vehicles have been given to his campaign team to also campaign. So there's a possibility, and Alan Kodeche was saying, Ejisu is Alan Kodeche Martin's hometown. So if Ejisu doesn't win, the possibility of him coming back, as he said, is very, very high. And that will also mean that he is likely to contest on the ticket of movement for change.
Let's look at the electoral record of this constituency we're discussing. In 1996, the NPP had 76.0%, the NDC had 23.3%. In year 2000, the NPP had 82.8%, the NDC had 15.4%. That's a dip from the previous elections, and the NPP upped its game. In year 2004, the NPP maintained, around that same figure, 82.5, and then the NDC shored up a few of the votes, 16.5. Then in 2008, NPP dropped to 81.2%, and then the NDC shored up a few more votes, 17.6%. In 2012, the NPP came further down, 80.3%, and then the NDC shored up a few more votes from 17.6% to 19%. And then in 2016, the NPP upped its game by 84.9%. The NDC got 14.5%. Then in year 2020 elections, you had John Kuma, the late, 68,326. That's 82.83%, maintaining, the comfortability around the 80 column. And then the NDC had 17.7%, representing 14,164. So that is how Ejisu has stood. Clearly, Ejisu is blue, red, and white. And then I'll ask you this again. Why is the MPP now then struggling in a place that it has held the turf for itself? It is known to be within the stronghold of the party itself in Ashanti, and yet they seem to be struggling to have massed everybody there to be talking about one small by-election. Why?
They are struggling because the one who is contesting them is somebody who has been with the party for a very long time. The environment, the political environment of Ejisu knows him. He is very popular among the NPP delegates. He is the most popular. In fact, for Lala Kwabena, he was introduced to the people of Ejisu in 2022. That was when John Kuma was putting together, well, they call it the John Kuma's album. So he's not that known when it comes to Ejisu politics. But also Adiomi is very much, somebody who was able to defeat the former Foreign Affairs Minister, Akwesi Oteji. One of the financiers of the party in 1992. He's a member of the executive forum. He was a member of the executive forum of the NPP. Very influential person, but Adiomi was able to defeat him. So you are talking about a gang as far as the Ejisu politics is concerned.
Right.
And that makes this one shaky for the NPP, and they know.
I see. Bill, I thank you very much indeed for your time. We'll wait for tomorrow and let the electorates decide what they want, and then we will see what we will do from there.
Thank you.
William Evansinkum is our Northern Bureau Chief. He joined us here on the telephone lines to talk to us about Ejisu. Helen, the nagging questions have all been answered.
Yeah.
Why are we taking a hand grenade to a fist fight?
Fist fight.
Charlie.
Can't take anything for granted. I think the party, the NPP party, is learning its lessons, but not all of its lessons, because if history repeats itself, well, is the president going to have to eat his words?
He has to eat his words. For example, he said this. I'm sure he's eating back those words with some bacon and salad and baked beans and some slices of bread. Yeah. Something chilled.
Speaker, all our best